The world of 2026 is a world of paradox. Perfect virtual reality. Artificial intelligence serving as everyone's personal assistant. Yet on the other hand, we are more lonely than ever before. Existential anxiety has become a global epidemic. Depression and burnout are the diseases of our era. Amidst this technological vortex, the human soul experiences a crisis of meaning. We are busy collecting data, yet losing wisdom. We are experts in analysis, yet blind to essence. This is what Western philosophers call spiritual death in the digital age. Sufism, the spiritual dimension of Islam that focuses on soul purification, Tazkiyatun, emerges not as an escape, but as an evolutionary response. It offers a quiet path amidst the noise, depth amidst shallowness, and meaning amidst chaos. Contemporary Sufism stands on three pillars relevant to the age. First, Dzikir, remembrance, as spiritual digital detox. In an era that floods us with 10,000 daily advertising messages, Dzikir is Islam's oldest mindfulness practice. It is not merely word repetition, but a training to shift attention from external noise towards the quiet voice of the heart. Second, modern asceticism. This is not anti-technological progress, but a wise attitude using technology without being enslaved by it. Zuhd in 2026 means having a smartphone without becoming a slave to notifications, using social media without losing oneself in social comparison. Third, sincerity ikhlas and contentment rida as an antidote to anxiety. In a world that teaches total control, Sufism teaches intelligent surrender. Ikhlas purifies motivation from the virus of performativity. Rida teaches active acceptance of what cannot be changed. However, a new spiritual disease emerges in this era. Spiritual materialism, a disease where we transform worship into transactions, deeds into commodities, and our relationship with God into a business contract. This is what Ibn Ata'illah warned about in Al-Hikmah. Among the signs of relying on one's deeds is the decrease of hope in Allah. When one slips into error, this statement contains a deep diagnosis of modern spiritual disease. When we fall, fail, or sin, and our hope in Allah diminishes because we feel my good deeds are not enough. That is the sign we have made our deeds into a small god. There is a symbolic story that sharply illustrates this disease. A devout worshipper for 80 years, with perfect consistency in prayer, fasting, charity, and Dzikir. In the afterlife, Allah declares He will enter him into paradise. Proudly, he says, "Of course, my Lord, because I worshipped you for 80 years. Allah then says, "All right, enter paradise for only 80 years. After that, hell." Shocked he protests, "Isn't paradise eternal?" Allah answers, "My paradise is too expensive to be bought with 80 years of worship. Paradise is only for those who enter, due to my grace, not as payment for deeds." This story is not about belittling good deeds, but about orientation error. When worship is performed with a transactional mentality, I perform deeds to obtain paradise, then we have reduced God to a heavenly accountant and reduced ourselves to spiritual employees. Let's calculate realistic spiritual mathematics. 1. Average human lifespan. 60 years. 2. Childhood and identity-seeking years. 15 years. 3. Sleep time. 15 years. 4. Work and worldly activities. 20 years. 5. Remaining for pure worship. 10 years, and that's 10 years of worship still mixed with showing off, riyat, arrogance, hujab, and then with these 10 imperfect years of worship, we hope to buy eternal paradise. This is absurd mathematics. The Prophet Muhammad, the best of humans, who was infallible, still said, "No one will enter paradise by their deeds alone." Even he relied on Allah's mercy. This is a fundamental lesson. We are commanded to perform deeds, but forbidden from relying on them. This modern spiritual disease has symptoms that can be diagnosed through a simple heart test. First, test when falling. When you commit a major mistake, observe your heart's reaction. Do you feel, "Oh Allah, My sin is great, my good deeds are few. My hope in you diminishes. If yes, that's a sign you've been relying on deeds, not on Allah. Second, test. Test when succeeding in deeds. After completing a major act of worship, Hajj, large charity, etc. Observe your feelings. Is there a sense that now my paradise is more guaranteed? If yes, that's a sign the transactional mentality is still rooted. Third test, spiritual comparison test. Have you ever compared your reward with others? Felt more secure spiritually because your worship is greater? This is a dangerous form of spiritual materialism. This disease is advanced subtle shirk, associating partners with Allah. If classical shirk is worshipping stone idols, modern shirk is worshipping number idols, numbers of reward, numbers of deeds, numbers of spiritual achievement. We have commodified our relationship with God. This is especially dangerous in the social media era, where performative spirituality becomes a trend. Worship is displayed for likes and social validation. Dzikir is counted for posting. Fasting becomes content. We get trapped in a cycle. Worship, post, receive validation. Feel spiritual. Repeat. Sufism invites us out of this cycle towards authentic spirituality. Spirituality that grows from within, not for external consumption. Sufism is currently experiencing an interesting global revival, not as a relic of the past, but as a contemporary response to the modern crises of meaning. Let's examine developments in several countries. 1. United States. Sufism in Silicon Valley. In the heart of digital capitalism, Sufism is actually flourishing. Tech executives in Silicon Valley find balance in high-pressure lives through Dzikir and Sufi meditation. Stanford University even has a contemporary Sufism study program. Dzikir spaces are available in startup offices. This is adaptation. Sufism as mindfulness with an Islamic foundation. 2. United Kingdom. Traditional Sufism meets modern therapy. In London, Sufi centers like Rumi's Cave combine Dzikir with psychological counseling. The Sufi Psychology approach develops, using Tazkiyatun Nafs concepts for anxiety and depression therapy. Oxford University has research projects on the neurological effects of Dzikir. 3. Turkey. Digital Sufism revolution. Turkey leads in spiritual technology. The Sufi meditation app with digital Dzikir guidance is growing rapidly. Virtual reality for virtual pilgrimage to great Sufi tombs. Interestingly, there's a social Sufism movement, using Sufi concepts for community development and social entrepreneurship. 4. Malaysia. Corporate Sufi. In Kuala Lumpur, Sufism enters corporations. Mindful leadership based on Sufi principles programs are taught in companies. The concept of sincerity ikhlas is applied in work ethics. Asceticism Zuhd in company financial management. This is concrete applied Sufism. 5. Morocco Sufi eco-spirituality. In Morocco, Sufism meets the environmental movement. Modern Sufis develop eco-sufism, seeing nature as Allah's signs that need protection. Water and land conservation projects are carried out with a spiritual approach. Dzikir is not separate from ecological action. 6. Indonesia. Urban Sufism movement. In major Indonesian cities, Dzikir gatherings for young professionals are growing. Urban Sufism is adaptive. Subway Dzikir on trains. Mindful prayer during meetings. Digital communities for muraqabah, Sufi meditation. Sufism becomes a spiritual lifestyle for urban. 7. Germany. Interfaith Sufi dialogue. In Berlin, Sufism becomes a bridge between religions. The concept of divine love in Sufi becomes a universal language for spiritual dialogue. This is inclusive Sufism that builds peace. The emerging global pattern Sufism does not retreat from modernity, but evolves with modernity, from private ritual to social movement, from individual practice to community solution, from local tradition to global discourse. Sufism is currently experiencing an interesting global revival, not as a relic of the past, but as a contemporary response to to the modern crises of meaning. Let's examine developments in several countries. 1. United States. Sufism in Silicon Valley. In the heart of digital capitalism, Sufism is actually flourishing. Tech executives in Silicon Valley find balance in high-pressure lives through Dzikir and Sufi meditation. Stanford University even has a contemporary Sufism study program. Dzikir spaces are available in startup offices. This is adaptation. Sufism as mindfulness with an Islamic foundation. 2. United Kingdom. Traditional Sufism meets modern therapy. In London, Sufi centers like Rumi's Cave combine Dzikir with psychological counseling. The Sufi Psychology approach develops, using Tazkiyatun Nafs concepts for anxiety and depression therapy. Oxford University has research projects on the neurological effects of Zuhd. 3. Turkey. Digital Sufism revolution. Turkey leads in spiritual technology. The Sufi meditation app with digital Dzikir guidance is growing rapidly. Virtual reality for virtual pilgrimage to great Sufi tombs. Interestingly, there's a social Sufism movement, using Sufi concepts for community development and social entrepreneurship. 4. Malaysia. Corporate Sufi. In Kuala Lumpur, Sufism enters corporations. Mindful leadership based on Sufi principles programs are taught in companies. The concept of sincerity ikhlas is applied in work ethics. Asceticism Zuhd in company financial management. This is concrete applied Sufism. 5. Morocco Sufi eco-spirituality. In Morocco, Sufism meets the environmental movement. Modern Sufis develop eco-sufism, seeing nature as Allah's signs that need protection. Water and land conservation projects are carried out with a spiritual approach. Dzikir is not separate from ecological action. 6. Indonesia. Urban Sufism movement. In major Indonesian cities, Dzikir gatherings for young professionals are growing. Urban Sufism is adaptive. Subway Dzikir on trains. Mindful prayer during meetings. Digital communities for muraqabah, Sufi meditation. Sufism becomes a spiritual lifestyle for urban. 7. Germany. Interfaith Sufi dialogue. In Berlin, Sufism becomes a bridge between religions. The concept of divine love in Sufi becomes a universal language for spiritual dialogue. This is inclusive Sufism that builds peace. The emerging global pattern Sufism does not retreat from modernity, but evolves with modernity, from private ritual to social movement, from individual practice to community solution, from local tradition to global discourse. We are heading towards 2030 with more complex spiritual challenges, smarter AI, more realistic virtual reality, deeper existential challenges. Future Sufism must become a compass, not escapism, a direction guide amidst disruption, not an escape from reality. Sufism must teach how to be human in the post-human era, how to maintain spirituality in the transhumanism era. The vision for Sufism 2030 is spiritual intelligence for digital humanity. Spiritual intelligence for digital humanity, where Tazkiyatun Nafs not only cleanses the heart from classical sins, but also from digital viruses. FOMO, fear of missing out, social comparison, performativity, and shallow connectivity. Sufism will remain relevant if it can answer how to love Allah in the algorithm era, how to practice Dzikir in the attention economy era, how to practice Zuhd in the digital consumerism era. The answer lies in the constant essence: worship as love, not transaction; deeds as expression, not investment; and hope only in Allah, not in our deeds. We are guided by Prophet Ibrahim's prayer, وَلَا تَكِلْنِي إِلَىٰ نَفْسِي ثَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ أَبِدًا. Do not leave me to myself even for the blink of an eye. In 2026, we add, do not leave me to algorithms, to likes, to spiritual performativity. Leave me only to your mercy. Because ultimately, among all sophisticated technologies, only one thing do we need: the technology of a heart connected to its creator.